In compliance with Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, entitled Open Public Meeting Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been approved and has been provided as specified in the Act. Proper notice of this public meeting was provided in a notice posted at the entrance of the school board office, mailed to the Nutley Sun, mailed to the Nutley Township Clerk, advertised in the Nutley Sun, and posted on the district website. This is an official meeting. Stand for the flag salute, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. McClure.
Mr. Carnicello?
Here.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin? Here. Mr. Ferraro?
Here.
Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Here.
Ms. Russo? Here. Mr. Scalera?
Here.
Ms. Sherman? Here. Mr. Spizzato?
Thank you. Whereas the Board of Education will be discussing matters exempt from public discussion pursuant to NJSA 10-4-12, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education recess to close executive session at this time to discuss personnel. We have further resolved that the results of this discussion will be made public by inclusion on the agenda of a subsequent meeting of the Board of Education, or when the reasons for discussing such matters in closed session no longer exist. Motion, second. Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Folks, we're going to be in closed session for probably at least a half hour. It was advertised, so I apologize if you don't know that. Okay. I need to break up the party, folks. We're going to get going again, okay? I need a roll call again, Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Carnicello?
Here.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin? Here. Mr. Ferraro?
Here.
Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Here.
Ms. Russo? Here. Mr. Scalera?
Here.
Ms. Sherman? Here.
I need an approval of the public meeting and approval of the closed executive session. Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Correspondence? All those in favor? Thank you. Correspondence? Mr. Lesnick.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. I will do my best.
Stay away from these.
I'm trying to breathe on the microphone. I apologize to everyone for my voice. A great deal has happened since our last meeting. In the area of curriculum instruction, as part of the 5-year curriculum cycle, we're adopting draft curriculum documents tonight for fine and performing arts, library, media studies, social studies, and world language, specifically elementary Spanish. It's come from our teachers with the leadership of our administrators. I want to thank everyone, including Dr. Valon. Sorry. It's a big project and heavy lift. These are draft documents. Further, though, as we've gone through the initial draft here, our curriculum updates to health and physical education and science were complete this summer, and they're being adopted as full documents. Sticking with academic issues, our elementary report card work, leading through the academic committee, working with our teachers, our building principals and supervisors, we've been working through last spring and into the summer here, monitoring the best way in which we can report out on our students' progress in a way where students understand what they're supposed to, what they should know and be able to do, as well as, more importantly, parents understand exactly the core issues at each grade level in each content area. In that vein, community teachers and administrators have been working to recreate our reporting documents that actually represent the work that's being done in the classrooms based on all of our academic improvements. We're in many ways playing catch up to what other districts have done. This school year we'll be implementing new report cards for students in grades kindergarten through 6. The report cards, as I mentioned, kind of playing catch up, will be standards based. They will focus on specific progress that students are making on the core skills in each content area at each grade level. This will dramatically change the way we talk about our students learning at the elementary level, specific to those core skills that they have to master as they progress. We plan on having parent information sessions during the early fall to provide information, to share drafts, or to share the exact documents. Everything will be presented online as well. One of the most significant changes, as most districts have done, based on the work, we'll be moving to a trimester system rather than a marking period system. So there'll be changes in the academic calendar and a shift in when we have conferences and the rest, so we can have more meaningful and specific conversations. To that point, sticking with the 2015-2016 academic calendar will need to be updated. Strictly specific to the trimester change. We're adjusting the academic calendar, limiting the November 10th and 12th single session days for conferences, which would normally occur based on a marking period system. The first conferences will now be held December 8th and 10th, and they'll follow the end of the first trimester on December 4th. This past week, a lot going on. Students already in buildings, middle and high school orientations, and thank you to our administrators and our faculty. On Wednesday, 26th grade 7 students had the opportunity to visit the middle school, tour the building, meet their teachers, and really start their first exposure to our teaming model. It's the second time we've done that, and again, Ms. Deacon and her crew are really excited about how that's progressing. On Thursday, grade 8 students had the opportunity to meet their teachers and learn about the year coming as they prepare to transition across the street to the high school. Thursday was also the day that our freshmen moving to the high school had the opportunity to visit the school and learn about the opportunities ahead of them. There was a great deal of buzz and excitement as the kids were here. The summer is, unfortunately but fortunately, ending, and the excitement is building as we rev up to the beginning of the year. Really happy to thank Dr. Vellani and Mrs. Powell, but also Chief Strumolo, who came to us with what's called the Law Enforcement Against Drugs program, or LEAD program. The Nutley Police Department is going to partner with us to implement LEAD program as part of our 6th grade health curriculum. It teaches better aspects of drugs with a program called Too Good for Drugs. The curriculum includes 10 specific lessons, 5 on building self-esteem and personal skills, and 5 lessons specific to drugs and alcohol. And the police department has trained 5 of its officers, 1 for each of our buildings, that are building relationships with those 6th grade students, and they'll be working with those classes once a month, instructing lessons and working with the classroom teachers. So we're looking forward to that partnership. One of my personal favorites is, and Ms. Powell's as well, our project adventure work, and thanks to the academic committee, the finance committee, and the whole board, obviously. We have received confirmation from PA that the installation of our equipment at the high school will occur during the week of November 2nd. The way they have scheduled it, it will only impact 1 day of instruction. We're working with the company to make sure that the installation occurs seamlessly. Mr. Nicolette has played a large role, as well as Mr. Williams. And then following that, we'll be training all of our staff with materials and the process of teaching within that environment. We hope to schedule training the week of midterms so as not to interrupt physical education instruction for the students. And again, my offer still stands. If the Board of Education would like to be the first ones on the high elements, just let us know. The LRFPC continue to meet, and based on their work, we presented to all the committees. I'm sure there will be updates from different committees. The Municipal Alliance Committee, working with Mr. Kaczynski and in conversation with Commissioner Evans, has been invited to meet with the commissioners at an upcoming meeting. So again, my recommendation, I just talked to Mrs. Danchek-Martin, is to make sure that that committee meets at least one more time prior to the Municipal Alliance moving toward that meeting. The Ed Foundation, I'm hoping we'll have an update on that, but again, just a number of us have been involved with meetings going throughout the summer. I'm excited about the return of this organization. They have been planning a number of kickoff events throughout September and the early fall, really to gain momentum and just to rebuild the presence. It's going to be an extremely positive thing. Updating the board on our final evaluation work through the summer, starting the last academic year, and then through the summer we've worked with multiple groups of faculty and administrators to reflect on our process and to constantly improve both the process and the tools that we use. Based on the recommendations of our staff, I worked with the Department of Education late July, early August, to ensure that the work that we want to do was in line with the requirements and that they were supportive of what we're doing. We've updated both the process and streamlined our documentation. As always, we're committed to becoming better every year, both in our practice but also in our process, and finding more efficient, effective ways to support our educators is one of the keys to that. We will be training our staff on the updated process beginning tomorrow and then moving throughout the first marking period / trimester of the year. Successful administrative retreat. We had all administrators for 3 days in early August, enjoying them in the middle day. As always, we were paired with teachers from the district. It was a great 3 days of work. We focused on student performance, analyzing data using our technology systems, teacher and administrator evaluation, facilities, budget, curriculum, security protocols, and obviously technology. We got a great deal of response from the faculty that were able to join us again. So it's one of those things that every year we're consistently getting feedback from teachers that this is something they want more people to attend. I have to thank Dr. Villani, who took over for me based on my illness. New teacher orientation, new staff member orientation was last year, and with about 12 hours notice, which she was very happy to get. She took over training for our first and second year teachers. Mr. Materia and Ms. Powell also played a huge role. I've documented that and sent them letters with my gratitude. The EAN, as always, was essential in welcoming new staff, so thanks to all their work, as well as Mr. Capello and Mr. Levine. Ms. Osich is still here? Thank you very much for everything you did last week. And Mr. Viemeister, who's hiding in the corner. Just 3 days of a lot of work to make sure our staff is ready to hit the ground running. Updating, coming out of LRFBC Academic and Administration, promised an announcement. I have been working with the Essex County Superintendent, Executive Superintendent, as well as the Department of Education to ensure, per the board's wishes, that we're preparing to move grade 6 students from Yanaqua to the middle school for the 2016-2017 school year. The move that's happening will be a housing move. It will not be a shift of the 6th grade to the middle school model. The long-term plan of the board is to move 6th grade here under the middle school model that exists, but until such time as we can move everyone here, they will be Yanaqua school students housed in this building. This is going to raise a great deal of questions, I'm sure. We've been compiling information for students, first off, for parents, for teachers. We've been working with Ms. Corolla as well as Ms. Egan, and we plan to be present at the September PTO to answer questions more specifically, but we will be discussing the academic program, how the students will be housed, what schedules will look like, how this impacts lunch, extended day programs, the administration, accessibility, and why the solution to rehouse students rather than use facilities that are on the Yanaqua campus came about. So all that will be discussed at our Yanaqua School PTO, which I believe is next Thursday. There you go, September 10th, thank you. Thanks to Mr. Levine. I know we've been talking about this before, but just a quick update. Our Perkins grant was submitted. The allotted funding for this year, 99% of it goes to our technical department, $17,698. Summer projects, I want to thank everyone who was involved. Just a fantastic job pulling together of our building and grounds department, as well as our tech department. I want to thank Mr. Nicolette, as well as Mr. Viemeister and Mr. Levine, their teams, Mrs. Jamins, and all the building administrators, as well as the teaching staff members who anxiously waited for the buildings to be open to them late August, and who attacked the buildings as they usually do during the summer, setting up their classrooms to make sure that we don't lose a second as soon as school opens. So looking forward to that. Some big professional development, opening up school tomorrow, talking about elementary report cards, student performance data, security and AED training as always, our faculty and department meetings, as well as our skip trainings, language arts. Mrs. Benavides pushing forward a great deal of work right from the get-go. Working their way for the elementary level. We're also working with Ms. Klein, our consultant, Pathways to Excellence, and a new consultant, Dr. Gravity Goldberg, whose name alone I'm sure will pique interest. But she's been scheduled for work with our secondary level teachers so we can focus more professional development there and continue the growth that we've begun in the elementary buildings. Also, science training. During the month of August, we had teachers in with specialists from Carolina Biological. They were trained for a grade 9 pilot, as well as new teachers were caught up in the programs that they will be joining based on their joining the district. Final piece, our strategic plan. 2 keys. Our action teams have already begun their work for year 4 goals. That's a big push. I can't believe we're in year 4 already, but really setting up hopefully what will be our final year. Continue our communication team's work. I wanted to make sure I announced and it will go out to parents in the welcome letter, but continue our annual tradition. We will hold our State of District Forum next Tuesday, which is September 8th, beginning at 6:30 in the high school auditorium. We will discuss all the aspects of the district and how we're doing and where we're looking to go. Quick update to the board. Kindergarten also pretty much remains consistent with where we were at the end of last report. 40 Lincoln School, 45 Radcliffe, 37 Spring Garden, 88 Washington School, and 69 Yanaqua School. And Mr. Kaczynski, just the upcoming dates. Our first day for staff is tomorrow. See everyone, thanks to the day at 8 o'clock. We'll kick off meetings at 9 at the high school. First day for students is Wednesday the 2nd. I want to remind everyone that Wednesday and Thursday are single session days for students, full days for staff. And please check the district calendar online. Go to any of the district web pages up top, click on the word calendar. Our open houses for the middle school, Thursday the 10th. Elementary schools are Wednesday the 16th, and our high school is Thursday, September 7th. Mr. Kaczynski.
Thank you, Mr. Leslie. Before we proceed, if folks would like to come in and take a seat, now's the time to do it. Yes, you have.
As Mr. Leslie reported, this was an extremely busy summer. With respect to our facilities, we had several contractors throughout the district. The handicap ramp at Lincoln School is nearing completion. We installed a ramp at Spring Garden. It's going to require some additional anchoring, but it is ready for use. The tile replacement throughout the entire first floor of Radcliffe School was completed, and the classrooms are looking great. We also enlarged and repaved the parking lot at Yankapaw School. And as part of our maintenance plan, we continued with the refurbishment of the wood floors. This year we did Yankapaw School. So we now have completed this work at Washington, Lincoln, and Yankapaw. Our own district staff worked on numerous other projects, starting with the first phase of the redesign of the high school administration wing. The 2 vice principal offices and 3 coordinator offices have been relocated. The attendance office and the copier room were swapped in preparation of a new security entrance at that building. The work also involved a coordinated effort between the maintenance and the technology staff to get all of this work done in a timely fashion. The trainer's office received a new floor, and repairs were made to several of the circulation pumps in the high school and heating coils here at the middle school. A new security door was also installed at Radcliffe School. A new classroom was created at Washington School, and a second-floor classroom in that building was also retired. The custodial staff worked on scrubbing, sealing, and waxing the floors, as evidenced by this beautiful hallway that you all walked on this evening coming into this meeting. And they were also busy washing windows and screens and carpets and painting classrooms and cleaning these classrooms from top to bottom. Many of our buildings housed summer programs, especially in the month of July, so that presented another challenge to custodial staff. But as always, everything is ready for tomorrow. As far as the district finances, tonight the board is approving the year-end board secretary and treasurer reports, as well as the year-end transfers to balance all of the individual account lines. And the business office staff is prepping for the audit visit, which will take place sometime in October. In addition, on tonight's agenda, there are several renewal contracts for HVAC maintenance for the computer network hub at the high school, a software and technology management service program which allows us to push security updates, software updates, and additional programs to all of the iPads, MacBook Pros, and iMacs from one central location, rather than having to do so on each individual machine, which saves us hundreds of hours of manpower. And there is a new agreement for copier machines, 2 of the machines over at the high school whose leases have expired. And in this agreement, we negotiated a deal with the company to allow us to keep the old machines at no cost, which gives us some additional copiers at that building. We're also approving change orders for the Lincoln School ramp. Those change orders were a result of needing to reinforce footings and foundations which were weakened due to a broken drainage pipe, which was not found until the old stairs were actually removed from the location. And the other change order was a request from the district to complete the sidewalk area all the way up to the curb to ensure that the surface is even and safe. And just a reminder to those board members who have not already responded to Mrs. Kakuza, we do need to know if you intend to be at the New Jersey School Board's workshop in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Committee reports. Mr. Ferraro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Vice President. Finance Committee reviewed plans to address the expansion to the middle school with the architects and the administration. Mr. Nicola provided an update on the summer work of each building, the status of work orders. He discussed the new signs that were donated by the PTOs at Washington Lincoln School and the shared services from Commissioner Scarpelli to prepare the area for installation. Mr. Nicolette provided an update on Radcliffe tile floors, the gym ceiling tiles, and the security door, the high school administration wing changes, and the grounds prep for start of school. The committee also reviewed quotes for completing curbing at Nutley High School along Ruth Drive, repairs to the Stockwell Washington School, and soliciting quotes to repair the front steps of Lincoln School. Mrs. Yames reviewed the August 31st finance resolutions, including the transfers, contract renewals, and the change orders for Lincoln School, handicap ramp. And the committee also discussed the status of the variance application for the bus lot parking and the extended day year-end financial statement.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrara. Mr. Klein.
Academic committee met on the 25th last Tuesday. We heard curriculum presentations for science, fine and performing arts, library and media, as well as social studies. We discussed contract negotiations, the update that Mr. Lazovic spoke about regarding the report cards as well as the calendar. Previously discussed, briefly discussed Flex program, the option of bringing that to the high school, as well as parental concerns regarding peanut-free lunch, some staffing updates, kindergarten registration, and an update from the architect regarding viewing new plans for the potential construction project.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Mr. Squire.
Yes, the administration committee met August 25th, reviewed athletics with the fact that the committee's been held already with the athletic director and parents. We did an update on coaching staff and all different programs. We've interviewed the hockey coach, which is on the agenda tonight for appointment. We also reviewed the girls softball team has gone for spring camp multiple times in the spring. We have a request for boys baseball, the same thing, that's still under review by the board. We went over architects' presentations on expansion of the middle school. We did personnel, and you'll see that on tonight. Review and recommendations are on there. The policies that we reviewed are also on the agenda for tonight. And our next meeting, as it stands now, is September 15th.
Thank you, Mrs. Scalera. And just to continue on the administration report, I know Mrs. Jamins touched on quite a bit of the work that was done throughout the school summer, but I thank all the board members who were able to visit the schools and see the outstanding work that was done by our custodial, our maintenance, and our grounds crew to maintain the schools in the condition that they are and improve upon them. And I just wanted to thank them publicly. I have in front of me about 12 or 15 pages of work that was accomplished by this group over the summer. And it's a downtime for some people, but for our staff, internal staff, it was a very busy summer, and I want to just congratulate them on a great job that we've seen out there so far. Thank you. We now come to the portion of our meeting where we allow members of the public to address the board. In this section, we allow questions or comments on only the resolutions addressed in tonight's agenda. Our board regulations number 601 allows 20 minutes for these communications. Each person should be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask you to try to stay within that requirement. Speakers can speak more than once only after all others wishing to speak on a topic have been heard. All statements will be directed to me as the chairperson. No one may address board members individually. Please be reminded that if your statement is too lengthy, abusive, obscene, irrelevant, or redundant, your participation may be terminated. Please remember to always state your name and address each and every, state your name and address each and every time you address the board, and sign in with Mrs. Capuzzo before you take the microphone. The first person can come forward if you like.
Name's Mona Schley, 18 Brookfield Ave. I don't know who to direct it to. I only know how to pronounce last
We can start with me and then we'll move it if we have to.
Charlotte?
Yes,
Okay. You addressed the 6th grade in Yanacor.
and I'm not cutting you off, understand. This portion of our meeting is to simply talk about resolutions that are on the board tonight.
You mentioned Yannicka in sixth grade and moving them.
And you're right, it's not on a resolution. We will continue that discussion the next time we come before the board. When you come before the board, let us get through our resolutions tonight, and then we'll have an open forum, we can talk about anything.
Next time.
It happens right after we do the resolutions. After we do the resolutions, then it's open for everybody.
Oh, so you mean like 20 minutes?
Couple of minutes.
Yes.
Okay, thank
You don't have to sign anything again. Anyone else want to try to address the resolution items only? We'll get to it. You'll have plenty of time. If not, Mr. Klein, will you take academics, please?
I move academic resolutions 1 through 6 as written.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Cook.
Mr. Carnacella?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
I'm sorry,
Mr. Kaczynski.
because I was banging the table, right? Yes.
Ms. Russo? Yes. Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Ms. Sherman?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Sawyer, will you take administration resolution, please?
Yes, Mr. Kaczynski, I'd like to move administration's resolution 1 through 4 as written.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Carnacella?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Ms. Sherman?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Ferraro, will you take finance resolution, please?
Yes, I move finance resolutions 1 through 21 as written.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Carnacella?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin? Yes. Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo? Yes. Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Ms. Sherman?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, will you take personnel resolutions 1 and 2 and the agenda? Addendum, please.
Yes, Mr. Vice President, I move resolutions 1 and 2 as well as the amendment.
Discussion? Pardon? Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Carnacella?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin? Yes. Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo? Yes. Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Ms. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
I'd definitely like to take this time to congratulate Ellen Duell Marino, who's our newest Director of Special Services. We hope in about 20 years, 25 years, you're here getting retired. Although I won't be here because my wife will kill me. Charlie, I'll probably be here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, certainly, on behalf of the board, and we're glad that you've always been on board with us. Moving to this new position is going to be a plus for the community and our children, and I thank you very much for taking it on.
Just from the administrators, obviously, I know it's a grueling process, but in my 4 years, you've always been here as a fixture in the classroom, and in the last 2 years as a productive member of our administrative team. So we're thrilled to have you. So all the best. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other board members wish to make a statement? Thank you. In this section, we allow questions or comments on all student-related matters. Our regulations allow 30 minutes for these communications. Again, each person should be limited to 3 minutes. Just give me a second. Certainly, come on down, okay? Freddie has always been giving me directions for the last 3 years, so it's nothing new. But certainly, come on down. Just legally, I was trying to read through the resolution.
I'm not bombarding you, I swear. You're not, I didn't mean to come down. All right, you had mentioned about sixth grade going to Yannicka.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, Yannicka coming here.
Yes.
But what are you going to do? Where are they going to go? They're not part of your middle school curriculum, and I understand that. So where are they going to be housed?
All that will be discussed with the Yannicka population. We'll go to the DPO meeting. They're going to have regular classrooms. They'll be in a self-contained model. We've already talked to Ms. Egan. They'll have specific almost areas of the building where they'll have full classrooms like they would again across school. They'll be on a separate schedule, having lunch separate from the rest. They'd have all their specials. They continue with their academic program, just as Yannicott students in different locations.
Okay, now, I know, of course, my daughter is involved. Now, I know from first grade, since she was in first grade, one of her biggest things, you know, they look forward to being quote-unquote senior status, okay? And their biggest thing is to be in patrol. Well, they're being robbed of that, because how are they going to be in patrol in the kindergarten class if they're here? So, they're not going to have that because they're here. And I know that's not a big deal to you.
No,
To
my
a
daughter
10-year-old.
will patrol.
Right, so that's a big deal to them. And they're not having that. So what are they going to get instead of that?
One of the reasons the decision was held off as long as it was is that the board working with the PTO wanted to ensure that we made a decision here in advance so that current 6th graders and 5th graders could have a quote-unquote senior year. We've had conversations with the PTO about this. There were a number of events, not just patrol, that the kids wanted to make sure, and the parents wanted to make sure that they had a kind of senior year experience before we moved. They'll still be Yannicott school students for the first year or two, but again, they won't be in the building, so it will be different. We want to make sure those 5th graders receive that same experience that they were as 6th graders. And again, it's way based on the board's plans. This will be happening in every building at some point, giving everyone a heads up, because there will be one grade of 5th graders that will be making the jump as 5th graders, and after that, every 5th grade will be the senior year.
Logistically, we've been spending a lot of time, and are going to be spending a lot more time trying to answer all of those questions. We're hoping that by Thursday, when the PTO meets at Yannicott School, we'll even have some more up-to-date answers on what we're going to do logistically. It is a concern. Certainly moving one class out of the 5 grammar schools over there is an issue we have to deal with. The board hopes that we're going to find ourselves in a position within the next year or two after that, making the move with all the 6th grades, but we need to make that move with Yannicott now, and we're trying to serve your child and you as best we can.
I just don't see how it's better. I don't see what we're getting out of it. I mean, we're leaving the space. I understand that, but what is it doing? The sale of the building is not able to go through anymore because that fell through. So there's no, I don't understand how moving them here is making a bigger picture. If you said to me, well, okay, if you move them here and then in a couple of years we're going to be able to expand because we're going to buy that building, I said, okay, that's great. But you can't buy that building, so what is putting them here now going to do?
Let's just try to quell some of the rumors. The sale of the building is still progressing.
Okay.
Progressing very well as far as I know. There's been no denying from either side that we're not going to proceed with purchasing that property. And then the board's opinion, long range, is to expand the middle school, including that piece of property that we're purchasing.
So so how many, it just frustrates me so, and I know my 3 minutes is probably not very
No,
soon.
that's okay. But you're probably speaking for a lot of people in this audience.
I'm sure I am. I mean, it's so frustrating to have them in like 3 classrooms. I mean, all I can go by is rumors of what's going around town. Is there's 3 classrooms in the basement, okay, that these kids are going to be in. And we can't have lunch with any others. We can't mix with the 7th and 8th graders. So we can't have lunch with them in the cafeteria. So where do we have lunch? In our classroom? We can't go, 7th and 8th graders aren't allowed to go outside for lunch, so therefore we can't go outside for lunch. The 6th graders, but yet if we were in Yannicott, we could go outside for lunch. So therefore, that's another thing that we can't do. What happens when we have a book fair at Yannicott? We're gonna get bussed over there? We have an assembly, we're gonna get bussed over there. What happens if a child needs to go to the nurse? We can't mix with the 7th and 8th graders. So what if the nurse has 2 8th graders and 2 7th graders enrolled? What happens? Is that kid got to take a cab to Yannicott? I'm being serious because you're not letting them mix with 7th and 8th graders. So I just don't I do not understand how it's going to benefit my child and every other fifth grade parent's child here.
And again, we plan on having a lot more answers for you and for us by your PTO meeting on the 10th, and we will spend whatever time is necessary then to try to iron out as many of these questions and answers as we will have by then. All of us have these same concerns. We brought them up. We are parents or grandparents, so we also have the same concern. Academically, long range, when we make the final move, we know that'll be better for your child. Right now, making the move one at a time is a difficult situation that we're trying to work our way through. But we will be able to have more answers for you on Thursday. Not putting you off, we just don't have all the answers yet ourselves. We need to meet with our staff. We need to spend more time looking at every one of the questions that have come up tonight and have come up before this, and hopefully have the answers for a better direction on Thursday.
So we, as parents, have no say on what happens.
Certainly have said. The PTO has been very vocal up until this point, and I guess will be continued that way. But the PTO from Yannicott School has kind of set the direction to us. They let us know that they wanted to have that senior year, which is the right thing to do. But the PTO, as a parent, they're your children. It's your taxpayer dollar.
Absolutely.
Certainly, and you need to be cognizant of that and vocal about it. And I think your PTO has done that. And we're kind of following their direction when it comes to academically. Then our superintendent and the staff needs to have their input also, but certainly it's a town-wide process.
But what I'm saying is you've made your decision on that they are coming here regardless.
Well, and we had that discussion with your PTO over a year ago, simply because of the crowding situation at Yannicott School and what we're going to be facing in other schools.
Well, I am the PTO, part of the PTO. And there was never a discussion, Mr. Lassiter came, and we've had the discussion that there is an overcrowded, and we've had multiple discussions in this town about what to do. And there was never a meeting saying, okay, we are doing this.
Oh, I disagree.
My oldest daughter
I
is
don't-
26 years old, and since she's been in fifth grade, we've had this discussion. There's never been a discussion that said, okay, this is what we're definitely doing. There's never been a discussion. Since the last board of ed meeting, that's when it came out that we are going to do this. So prior to that meeting, there's never been a discussion at any PTO meeting that this is what we are doing. There's never been.
I'm not here to disagree with you, but that's not a fact. I've been at the PTO meetings along with other board members, and it was clearly discussed in front of the PTO
It was
meeting
discussed, but it was never.
that we would be moving in September of 2016.
No, it's not. We'll go back and get you.
Unofficially, you were going to get it a year ahead. It was not
It was
low.
never,
Yeah.
absolutely not, it was never discussed that it was definitely going on. Mr. Laskovic had said that it was a topic, that there was a chance that sixth grade would come up by Yannicott or any school that was most overcrowded would come up. It was never a year given, because if it was, we would have been here 2 board of ed meetings ago. Believe me, we wouldn't be waiting until the day, 2 days before school was starting. So it absolutely was not.
I think what we discussed though was that Yannicott School would move here, sixth grade would definitely move here first by themselves. And we would give the PTO a year's notice so that the fifth graders could celebrate or do their last year. And I think at the last PTO meeting, what I remember, is we said it would be the 16th.
And beyond the PTO meetings, also, this goes back over a year. We had conversations and we got direct feedback, vigorous feedback from the PTO. There are 2 options, are either to use the trailers as full-time classrooms and make art and music travel, or move students over. And we got overwhelming response, and I'm just deferring to the board again, that the desire of folks was that we would be moving the 5th grade out, but we'd be giving a year in advance. And we had a retreat upstairs that was attended by
Okay,
a
well,
good
we
number
had
of
that,
people.
and we had that discussion about moving the 5th grade over. I think that was every 5th grader, because
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay.
excuse me, there's a ton of 5th grade parents here that are part of our ed.
That's it. Thank you.
That's fine. We
We
can
talked about how
discuss
the
it.
2 schools moving. Up to two
Up to
schools.
two. That's the one.
The issue is how much can the middle school hold and which schools would need to be moved. And our concern again is that we're playing with numbers, we're playing by numbers that change and are beyond our control. And our concern was, I'd much rather wait until the end, but obviously for reasons like the one you brought up and giving people a senior year, we have to guess. We've been working with Mrs. Carollo on our numbers and taking feedback. Now this is interesting because this is the first time I'm hearing, and I've heard from many of the board members as well, that the parents would rather keep students in the building, given the existing conditions, than move them here.
I'm not going to do it in a trailer rather than, I mean, I think I would rather have, I mean, I'm full for all sixth grades coming up here. So I'm not against that part. I totally for that. But I just don't see any benefit for just one school coming up here. I don't. I just don't see. All I see is anxiety in my 10-year-old. I do. That's all I do. And then
I appreciate your input. We can continue to talk, like I said, Thursday night, all night. But I must clearly say that some of the direction we got from the PTO, the clear direction that we got from the PTO numerous times was what I had mentioned to you, that Yannicka, sixth grade, would be moving to the middle school in September of 2016. Clear direction.
I'm going to go back and pull those minutes and we'll see.
But we will be at the Yannicka PTO on the 10th, and we will continue the discussion. And obviously, your input and your concern is very important. If that's the, if that's the way the Yannicka PTO feels strongly, then we'll have to
Well,
discuss it.
yeah, when you say getting from PTO, it's really fifth grade parents that are having the huge issue.
Of course.
K through fourth grade may say, send them off. But fifth grade parents is another story. You know,
That's what I'm making reference to, okay? The parents that are most going to be affected by this
right,
move.
that is fifth grade
Certainly,
parents.
we will certainly be, have some more answers for you on the 10th, and we can discuss it that night, if that's okay with you. Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Judith Lefrati, I live at 33 Fernwood Terrace, and I am also the parent of a fifth grade child at Yannicka. I second much of what Mona just said. I think part of the discrepancy between what you heard from the PTO at Yannicka and what you're hearing now is that I know my belief back when the discussion started maybe a year ago was that they go to a middle school model. I came from a middle school with a 6th, 7th, and 8th. My son is now on his way to the high school in Nutley. I would like us to have a 6th, 7th, and 8th middle school. I think my child would benefit greatly from going into a middle school model, from having content-specific teachers, from having, all that comes with that. It wasn't until the last PTO meeting of the year that it became clear to me that Yannicka was going to have to go on its own and therefore, stay in an elementary school setting. And I understand that it's a disadvantage, it's an unfair disadvantage to the rest of the town if they receive the middle school model, the benefits of that, and the rest of the 5th grade, the 6th grade does not. But instead of disadvantaging the rest of the town, now I feel like we're going to be disadvantaged. Because we can't give them an unfair advantage, we're going to stick them in this weird limbo land. My child, too, has anxiety about it. I mean, I was really gung-ho on the whole move them to the middle school, and a lot of people were. But I don't think they realized that this is what it was going to be. I mean, who's there, there's so many questions, and I don't see how it's all, do they get recess? Where would they have recess? They need outdoor time? Personally, I think the middle school should have outdoor time as well. I think it's crazy that they're there all day and they don't get to breathe fresh air. But the 6th graders, if they're part of an elementary school, certainly are entitled to that. Is there space in the oval to get that? The gym class for the high school, the middle school, plus give these kids lunch and some outdoor, with an outdoor recess. Like, there's so much involved, and I think there are so many negatives. I'm just, as Mona said, I'm questioning what are the benefits for our children. I see long range, that this is a step to help put through the plan that will be a great plan in the end. And I understand someone has to be the first one. I'd be fine if we were having a little, a bumpy year being the first ones in the middle school model, but that's not what we are. I mean, we're being thrown into it's just a place. It's a place to put them. They're losing a lot. They're not getting any benefits, but a different place. Maybe there'll be a little less crowding there. We don't even know yet if they would have, they're a 3-section class. They're not one of these 4-section classes. We don't even know that they would have been, as you said, it's early to make the decision. We don't know how the overcrowding would be affected, but for them, I don't see what the advantage would be.
And you should all understand, this board is just as frustrated. We wish we had the extension on the middle school already. We could move all 5, 6 grades over there at one time. That would solve all of our problems. We're not able to get there as fast as we like. And after much discussion with the people involved, we're leaning in this direction. But again, I guess we're going to have to sit and talk about it on Thursday night and see what the real feeling is of most of the parents.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the push too may become, we had a 4-section class that was condensed to 3. I wasn't a parent of that grade. I think they may have had a class that had up to 28 children, definitely over 25, 25 I think at least. There were a lot in the one class. I feel like that particular grade understandably was upset and wanted a solution, and we all are. I don't think that's good for the town in general. It's not good for those kids, it's not good for the town. We don't want our class numbers up that high. But I don't think that the majority of the 5th grade parents would have said, go send our kids over there to get the same instruction or less than that they're getting here, but losing all this other, all the other benefits or the joy of elementary school, that they were expecting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hi folks, how you doing? My name is Phil Blancato. I live on 434 Hartford Drive in Nutley. So just first question, is this decision finalized, or are we just basically hearing ourselves speak, or is there potential to reopen the discussion based on the large number of people who have come, just from my own understanding?
The discussion is ongoing.
So it's not a finalized decision?
No, sir.
Okay, that's all. So I guess I kind of put this at the law of unintended consequences. And by that I mean, when you think about the need for revenue in the town and the number of new residents that have been built, I'm a product of that. I live in Cambridge Heights, so the influx of people from Cambridge Heights is causing a need for space, right? So that's problem number one. You think about when kindergarten went from a half day to a full day, the need for additional classrooms. There is this law of unintended consequences, good things that have led to this situation. So all the comments that were made about the lack of real social impact on these kids seem to have been left behind, right? It's probably not about the education. You got great teachers, they're going to teach well in this institution, just like they would over there. But socially, I guess my question is, why are we taking the one group who would be so much socially impacted by this law of unintended consequence and affecting them? Because whether it's the patrol or the dance or just being the senior kid on campus, the group that's most impacted is sort of the low-hanging fruit here, right? They're the group that's going to say, who could we easiest move? Maybe because of their maturity, or just because it makes sense because other towns have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade there. I guess my question is, why affect this group when potentially, because this is really a space problem, right? Again, it's about space. It's not about moving the class over. It's not about bringing all the grammar schools. It's a space issue.
No,
Hang on, let me just finish the question. It's a long question, I apologize.
no problem.
But hey, correct me if I'm wrong, please. But in the end, I can make the argument that 4th grade, or 3rd grade, or even kindergarten would effectively be the exact same thing. So I guess my question is, why this group that's most socially affected by this move, where the others may not?
The board's feeling was that the real middle school model of 6th, 7th, and 8th would academically benefit our children better than what we offer now. That was our long-range feeling, the concept of the board that moved to 6th, 7th, and 8th. Obviously, we're not able to do that in one shot, and the overcrowding becomes an issue at Yannico School right now, and potentially at some other schools, looking at the numbers that are coming in now. So we've actively been pursuing purchasing some property, expanding the middle school and turning it into a 6th, 7th, and 8th middle school. That's where we think we want to be academically.
And I think everybody in this room would applaud that. I'm just curious, may I ask the group and audience a question? How many of you are fifth grade parents, just from my own understanding? So the vast majority of this room has real sensitive feeling about this. And I think if we were to grab the folks who are most impacted and say, we need to raise a bunch of money to buy a building because the town doesn't have enough, or we got to find some alternative measure to make Yannico work, the engagement of the fifth grade parents seems to be lacking. Because of what I can tell, there's quite a few who don't feel like they've been engaged. I don't. I heard from my wife this was taking place tonight, so I showed up to some degree defend my child with sensitivity to all of you, because I realize this is not an easy decision you're getting to. You have a space issue. But at the same token, the approach seems to be the lowest hanging fruit without full engagement of the fifth grade parents.
And that's not totally true, because in all due respect to you personally, this discussion has been going on for roughly 2 years, I would think, with the Yannico parents. And I'm looking at Lisa Danchek because she is the PTO representative at the Yannico school. And the numerous times we've been at the Yannico PTOs, we were getting a little different feedback than what you're presenting tonight. Except for the wanting to maintain we're concerned about the activity that the sixth graders might have, there was some strong feeling from the PTO that were vocal at that time of making the move in 2016 to the middle school. So we were led, wrong word, we thought that was a strong feeling that was coming out of the Yannico district, and that was one of the reasons we were going in that direction.
Well then, sir, with all due respect, I don't think you accomplished the goal here of moving them in a way that engaged all the parents. Because for so many things that Mona outlined that don't really have an answer yet, the parents haven't been engaged in finding a resolution that works for them. It's not a true sixth grade curriculum in that they're going to change classrooms and move around. So unfortunately, this is a knee-jerk reaction to a space issue, and I understand you don't have many options. But the only way to accomplish this is to engage the parents, find a solution if there is one, whether it's Yannico or here, not close the books on it until everyone's had a chance to voice their opinion, and get to a resolution on all the concerns, and not just space. Because if the kids don't get a chance to play, or find a nurse, or go out to lunch, or create some consternation around what they expected, the one thing that kid at this level needs is confidence that they can achieve school success. And that is not just academic, that's social and academic. And if you take the social aspect away, the impact on these kids, I think, can be pretty profound. So I think we should consider that before we make a final decision.
And we make that commitment to you that on Thursday night, only because that's when your PTO meeting is coming up, we will have that lengthy discussion, and we'll continue. No minds have been set yet. That was certainly the direction we were leaning because of the feedback that we've gotten from Yannico PTO, but it's still open for discussion.
I don't want to harbor the mic, that's unfair to everyone else, but I would leave you with two things to ponder. I don't know that it necessarily has to be the fifth grade. I think this could work as well with any other grade in the class, and that's something that needs to be discussed. And if this decision does directly impact the fifth grade, it might not make some sense to not just engage the PTO, but give the fifth grade parents themselves in their own forum, without any other grade, a chance to voice how this works.
Hi, Jennifer Albanese, 9 Montclair Avenue. I have to say, I respect these parents behind me, but I've been at every PTO meeting the last 2 years. I think I missed one. I've been to all of the retreats. I've been to the meetings that we've had. And I have to say, I was first, I'm a middle school teacher for over 16 years. And I think the benefits of the sixth grade going up to the middle school is tremendous. I have a sixth grader. I would love to have seen him come up this year, whether he was in the basement. I think it's better than the trailer. I have a fourth grader, so I am not one of the parents that has to face this next year. I see a lot of their points, but I think that the district is in the right direction going to the middle school. And my husband. But I felt I needed to come up and just say that I would like to see the sixth grade eventually, if not right. My fourth grader, I would like to see in the middle school. Maybe one of the things instead of, one of the things that we should be working on is giving them the middle school model. Because I truly believe it's much different from an elementary school education, and that's what these kids need. They don't necessarily need to be with one teacher all day long. And I just think that that's the direction maybe we should be going with the overcrowding, is giving them the middle school model, and they can be the guinea pigs, I guess, for lack of a
I
better
think we
word.
all agree that we want to get to the middle school model for all of our sixth graders. I guess maybe moving one at a time is what's up for discussion, and we will spend a lot more time discussing that before we make any decisions. So I appreciate your input.
And I also wanted to say, thankfully you have a new director of special services. I have two children that receive services. So hopefully this will be the year that we get someone that stays and will. Not that the last one was bad. And congratulations on our new hockey coach. We're really excited.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions aside from the Yannick school issue? Because we will spend as much time needed during the night to discuss that.
It's your right, it's your right. It's your right.
Nobody said it's not your right. I said we're going to spend a lot more time Thursday night discussing.
Okay, but you made it seem like she
No, it
shouldn't
didn't,
go up there.
in your mind, but it didn't mean that
It
at all.
wasn't my mind.
Okay.
Larry Zephyr, 150 Ridge Road. There are a lot of rumors circulating in town right now about the deal falling through. And I'm in favor. I think the kids are going to be pioneers. I'm in favor of the children going. But my concern is, if in fact the deal does fall through and we don't have a plan B, are we looking at the possibility of the Yannick students being there for 3, 4, 5 years by themselves without sixth graders, without any movement of any of the other schools? And has the board considered that?
This board, fortunately for you, has been diligently pursuing options 1, 2, 3, I guess option 1 to 6 on all ways to fix our overcrowding and at the same time address the academic needs of our children. So yes, we do have contingency plans that we're looking at. Nothing is definite yet. We've been meeting on and off with the commissioners because they're an integral part of what's going on throughout the town, obviously. And when we make a move like we hope we're going to be making, it's going to affect this educational system for the next 20, 30, 50 years, at least building-wise. We've been torn a little bit with the hop on the roach issue. We've been torn a little bit with the overcrowding at all of our schools. So we're trying to take as much time as we can and look at all the options and hopefully come up with the right answer when we do get to that point. But yes, we're looking at every option from the middle school extension. Parking becomes an issue. What would we do if we don't end up getting the property or end up with the expansion that we need? Then do we need to look at expanding every one of our grammar schools, 5 additions? So it's all been, a lot of time has been spent by this board and by the administration looking at all of our options. We're not, in all due respect, it is not any type of knee-jerk reaction.
And I've been at all the meetings, so I understand that. And I think logistically we're falling into a place where we were told they were potentially going, and many people were not at those meetings. I was at those meetings, and I had seen everything, and heard everything the board talked about. Perhaps, though, under consideration, the children are going to be having sacrifice, so maybe the consideration is putting them in the true middle school model. If in fact they have to sacrifice, maybe they should benefit in some way.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to discuss? But again, we will spend quite a bit of time Thursday night discussing the Anacol issue at the Anacol PTO. We'll be open to as many questions as we can do with that night.
Hi. I'm Tara Nessa. I live on 10 Patterson Avenue. I also have a 5th grader, and I have one quick question. I also have a 7th grader, and I know that you keep repeating yourself and saying that all these questions are going to be answered Thursday night.
We're going to try to answer them for
However,
you.
there is another meeting that I need to be to, yes, because I have an incoming 7th grader. I am not the only 5th grade parent who has a 7th grader and needs to be here that night. So I think that maybe we need to reconsider the date of that meeting so that all 5th grade parents can attend.
And again, and I appreciate that. We'll try to be, we'll work any way we can for you. We all have, there's like 4 different meetings we're all going to try to be at that night. I understand that.
I mean, even if it was a time shift, you know, so that we can meet.
We didn't create the PTO meeting, you did. So, your PTO, your Yannico PTO, so we'll try to work that around as best we can. We also want to be at the open house, so we've got a lot going on. This is a crucial discussion. I don't want to miss any time on it. If it means we need to meet then and then meet again and then meet again, it's easy for us. We've been doing it every night anyway.
Okay. And I just want one more thing, just to make clear in my own mind. Maybe it's been said and I'm just not listening 100% because I'm thinking too much. But you're saying that this is not a closed discussion, that changes can be made. So if at these 5th grade meeting or PTO meeting, whatever it may be, the entire school says we don't want this, is there a chance for this not to happen, or is this definitely happening?
And it's hard for me to sit here as a board member when I've been at the PTO meetings. The board that's here, when I tell you honestly, the board has been taking direction when it comes to the Yannico school move from the Yannico PTO. I can't make it any clearer than that.
Well, I
The
think
direction
that,
the last 2 years has been very clear from the PTO that was in there at the time, that this was the way we wanted this board to look at, and we did that.
well, I think that we have discussed the fact that they might be moving, and that a lot of people were concerned that they didn't get their senior status things, such as the dance and graduation,
That
and
was a
yada, yada,
concern right from
yada.
the beginning.
And I understand that concern, but now I'm confused, because are they getting it this year as 5th graders? Or are they gonna get it
Yes.
as 6th graders, but they're not really at the school, they're gonna come back for all of that? How is that happening?
The move that we had discussed with your PTO, or with our own group, was that the move would not take place until September of 2016.
Right, so my question is my 5th grader graduating Anaheim in June, or next year? When is that happening?
And again, I think this is something that we can better answer. First, the PTO meeting, of course, in subsequent meetings, and I think it's a great idea. If we can't get everyone there, we set up another time when more people can come. I will vouch for the board in that for 2 years, we've been trying to have open dialogue with the parents of Yannico School students about what they want. And all I would say is, this is not a conversation, you heard Mr. Kaczynski say, that is finite. There's a difficult decision that has to be made, and we have 2 options. Those options have been made clear before, and we've gotten feedback from parents prior, obviously not the parents who are here tonight apparently, and we're glad that you're here. But our 2 options are to either find space by moving 6th grade, and again, I agree with Mr. Kaczynski, not knee-jerk at all. 2 years is not knee-jerk. And there is a huge expectation of what happens socially to the students, and there was an immense amount of thought as to why 6th grade. There are reasons for all of this. But the other option is to maintain them at Yannicott School and take over the 2 trailers as full-time classrooms and relocate music and art, which is a definite possibility. So we can still have those conversations. Again, as Mr. Kaczynski, we have answers to the questions. I've worked with Mrs. Corolla, I've worked with Ms. Egan, to make sure that if this is the direction that we wanted to pursue, we have to have answers to these questions. We can talk about all of this moving forward. But ideally, what I am hearing, which is great, is that, and I guarantee you the board's been nodding because they said this publicly at our retreat, we want the middle school model for 6, 7, and 8. We're
And I
working
think
with
we all,
commissioners and the
I
rest to
don't
get
think the
that to
question
happen.
is whether or not we want the kids here. Of course
It
we
beats
want
the war
the kids
effort.
here, but we don't want our kids not getting.
Of course, it was made very clear tonight, and we will continue that discussion whether it's Thursday night or Friday night, whenever we can get the most people together, and if it means meeting again after that. It's too important of an issue for the Township of Nutley and the Yannicott parents and our children to not to spend as much time as we can on it. Thank you. Is this going to continue with the Yannicott?
Yes, but it'll
Okay,
hopefully end some
only because we're going to spend a lot of time Thursday night talking about it.
I think also if people have questions and they want to email us, so that when we do come and present in front of you at the school, we have all of the information and that we can research things, that would be great also.
If you didn't hear what Mrs. Danchek said, that would be some good info. We did receive an email that spelled out some concerns that a parent had. If you could email our superintendent, Mrs. Corolla, before the meeting on Thursday with your concerns, so we have an even stronger agenda when we do meet with the PTO.
My name is Christina Sorowski. I live at 343 Winthrop Drive. I'm actually one of the co-presidents this year of the Yannicott PTO. We made the PTO meeting, the first one of the year, back in June, when we did not know that there was going to be the middle school orientation. I too have middle schoolers, and as a co-president, I found myself in a little bit of a dilemma with this meeting. What we're talking about is perhaps just making it later. So I believe the middle school orientation takes place at 6:30. I've been told it goes about an hour, 6:45. If someone can give us a time when that will be done so that the other parents that might have to be at that meeting can get to Yannicott, we will put Mr. Lazovic on the agenda for that time so that this discussion could be held with all the stakeholders that need to be there present.
That's fine. If you send us an email with the time, we get paid by the hour, so it wouldn't make any difference to us.
So I don't know, this is my first time at middle school. What time does anybody know when the orientation ends? Is it about an hour?
Mr. S., Mr. Stoffers?
Sir?
Any guidance on how long the middle school orientation usually goes?
It's starting at 6:45. I would say 8:15, they're out of here.
Thank you.
All right, it's going to be a late night, folks.
It's about our children, so there is no late nights. We all know that. We do what we have to do, certainly.
Okay, so we will put Mr. Lazovic on the agenda for later on in the evening that night, if that's okay with you, Mr. Lazovic.
Mr. Vice President, how about just sitting down with the PTO and coming up with a special date for a meeting?
We can do
I mean,
that
it
too.
seems like there's a
Yeah,
lot of conflicts, let's come up with a special date where all parents
Or we could do both. We could have
Yeah.
one meeting on the 10th and then another
We
meeting.
might want to make one of the, if somebody's on that night, because, and this is nothing, there's meetings going on every single night of the week, but I would suggest we at least start the formal meeting that night, and then we'll set another agenda night after that where we can get maybe a cleaner night.
But I still think she should start the later time, because everybody at least a fair chance to get both
All
meetings.
right, so we will do that.
So let's do 9 o'clock push back, or is it going to start normally?
Our meeting will probably start at the normal time, and then we will put Mr. Lazovic on the agenda for later on in the evening.
Okay, so I'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're doing like the speed dating?
Yes, we're doing the speed network.
Okay.
Speed dating. We're doing that beforehand, so perhaps we will start the entire meeting maybe a half an hour later. Okay. We'll send out a new agenda, folks, so and let everybody know. All
Thank
right?
you. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Mrs. Leonard? I saw you were halfway down the stairs when you stepped back, so.
But if you want me to, I will.
Yeah.
I was actually just going to go.
Penny Landry, 135 Lakeside Drive. I'm not a Yanakaw parent or a grandparent. I'm here as a taxpayer and a homeowner. What is the name of the Board of Ed's legal counsel for 2015, 2016? What is the law firm?
I'm gonna let Mrs. Jameson, you have to clear it. I don't want
Skank, Price, Smith, and King.
to, you see why I gave it to Mrs. Jameson?
Thank you. August 31st, 2015 bill list, 8/17/15, Connell Foley LLP, $37,329. 8/31/27, $434,000. Could someone tell me what we spent $64,700 in legal fees in 1 month for, and did that have anything to do with the WNBC TV settlement?
To your second question, no. The money that is spent with Connell Foley is for litigation with DCN.
And who is DCN?
They were the architects for the design of this building and several of the other buildings when we started the 2007 referendum.
And this is litigation that's still going on, or is this payment for completed?
It's still
Ongoing?
Still ongoing.
Still ongoing, so we're paying $64,000, which brings me to my next question, because we had another bill for $28,686 to Metropolitan Engineering. Could you tell me what that is for?
He's the forensic engineer working on that same litigation.
Okay, so now we're at over $100,000 for the month of August in legal fees for problems associated with moving this building from being a high school to being a middle school, correct? No? What does it have to do with?
Okay. In 2007, the board that was here at that time.
Were you on that board?
Pardon?
Were you on that board?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Was anybody here on that board who could speak to them?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We all knew people, so they left us some stuff to deal with. Okay.
And I believe it was also from the 2004 referendum. This is ongoing litigation with work that was done on this particular building that at the time was probably not done properly. We found ourselves in a lawsuit dealing with contractors and ex-contractors, and that's why it's ongoing. It's frustrating all of us. We're spending way too much money, but we are finding it difficult getting to a conclusion at this.
Okay. Which does Warshaw Law Firm for $24,000 last month have anything to do with that?
I don't know. No.
What is that one? What legal fees are we paying for that?
That was a separate settlement that had nothing to do with any construction.
Did that have to do with the WNBC TV settlement?
No, it did not.
Is that case finished or is this ongoing? The Warshaw Law Firm, $24,000
That's
fee.
finished.
That's finished? Is a settlement's been reached?
Yes.
Can it be disclosed what that is?
That is the amount of the settlement.
The settlement was $24,000, and what was the lawsuit? If it's settled, it can be disclosed.
I have to go back. It involved a specific student.
It was a student, okay, so we paid $24,000. So now we're at about $180,000 in legal payments last month. So I just want to make sure, okay, that there were two committees that reported. Mr. Klein said, our committee looked at the update of the plans for the new potential construction project. Are there any parents that are looking at these potential plans for the construction project? And who is the architectural firm designing these plans?
The architectural firm.
The architectural firm is DeCara Rubino.
DeCaro Rubino, and what are we paying them? What's their hourly fee? What's their contract fee?
I don't remember the exact amount of the hourly fee. That was in board agenda in June.
So we're
But
paying
I
them-
can get that for you. Right now, they are working with us on concepts. So we
Okay.
have not been billed for any of
So
those
how many
concepts.
concepts have they presented to the Board of Ed for the Franklin Avenue expansion project?
That's what I mentioned before. Concepts that they presented to us, and we have not paid them for the concepts.
They're doing it for free? They have
They're not
kids
doing
in the
it-
fifth grade?
Obviously, they're not. Obviously, they're not doing it for free. They put the concepts out there. If and when we choose a plan, then when they draw the plan up, there'll be a fee.
So you're actively looking at plans for a piece of property that you have not yet purchased?
That would be the proper thing to do. Yes, we're doing that.
Okay. Are any parents looking at these plans?
Yes, ma'am.
And who, are they PTO members? Could you disclose?
They're parents. They're parents.
Parents, okay? And who would get to know who they are? Just, the special meeting? Is there an agenda? Is there a place where these plans are looked at, where other taxpayers might be able to also have some input?
I would think when we come up with a final plan on what direction we're going.
A final plan?
A plan that everybody can look at, including the commissioners. We'll get to that point. We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're simply looking at drawings of what might be able to done with what might be able to be accomplished with the property that we're purchasing.
Okay, so right now, can you tell us how many plans there are that are like, I know like the East Center Street, their consulting group gave 3 schemes for the building of all the new apartments on East Center Street. Are there 3 plans that are being considered? 6 plans, 2 plans, 1 plan?
I personally, I think we've looked at 6.
Well, okay, you were on the committee, how many plans did you look at?
Mrs.
Mr.
Landry,
Klein?
Mrs.
Can you tell me?
No, we can't.
Okay.
Address it to me.
Okay, would you ask Mr. Klein how many schemes his committee looked at?
I don't have to ask Mr. Klein. I will tell you that there are approximately 6 or 7 scheme concepts that we've looked at towards expanding the middle school.
Okay, and let's just look forward. Let's say we get to 2 schemes. Where is the money going to come from to build the chosen scheme?
That's to be talked about yet.
To be talked about. Okay, thank you. And thanks for inviting me up, by the way. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
I actually have a question for the board. Dante Condola, 90 Woodford Avenue. I just have a question about the Belleville versus Nutley football game. Is it being rescheduled to Saturday during the day, or is it still on Friday night?
It's been rescheduled to Saturday during the day.
Okay, thank you.
Any old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board?
I'd like to start.
Whereas the Board of Education will be discussing matters exempt from public discussions pursuant to NJSA 10.4-12. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education recess and close executive session at this time to discuss student, personnel, and legal matters. Be it further resolved that the results of this discussion will be made public by inclusion on the agenda of a subsequent meeting of the Board of Education, or when the reasons for discussing such matters in closed session no longer exist. Need a motion? I need a motion. Roll call. Motion. Motion. Motion.
Second?
Roll call. No. All in favor?